Hi everybody, this is Janet and I'm here today for my first design team project for CutCardStock. If you're not familiar with CutCardStock, they are a small business located in Indiana, and what they do is they cut, package, and resell brands of cardstock, paper, envelopes, and stationery that we as crafters in the crafting community are fairly familiar with. Some of the brands they sell are Neenah Classic Crest and Neenah Pop Tone. They also carry Curious Metallic, and they also have Basis and Bazzil cardstocks, among many others. So I'm very happy to be here to represent them and show you some of their cardstocks and what you can do with them. Now today's project is a fancy fold, and it is called a buckle card. And the reason it's called that is because you have kind of this belt and a buckle to put it into. Now this card is a 5x7 size, and originally I got this idea from a split coast stamper video done way back in 2011. That video showed how to make an A2 size card, and what I did was I blew it up so that I could do a 5x7 card. I wanted a little more room for my embellishments, so that was my main reason for doing it. Now, in addition to giving you all the measurements you need to make this card by hand on my blog, which you will find that link in my video description, I have also gone ahead and created an electronic cut file for you to use if you have a machine that will take either the Silhouette file or an SVG. Now, I'm not a professional electronic file designer. I am just learning, and that is exactly why I'm providing this to you free. I'm not guaranteeing that it's perfect. I have tested it and it seems to be okay, but if you're having any trouble, please reach out to me. And if it imports in the wrong size, which is the main problem that I've run into, just refer back to my blog measurements and you can resize the pieces to fit. But everything is in there to make the card base. It doesn't include any of the embellishments, but the basic card base is there for your use. I hope you'll enjoy that. All right, let's get started with our project. So let's flip out this card base for a minute so you can see what the main card base is. You have to imagine that this border is gone, but this white piece measures 8.5 by 7 inches, and it is scored at the 5-inch mark. Now I had the original base before I decorated it videoed, but somehow I deleted that because I can't seem to locate it. So I'm making do by at least describing that. Now the buckle opening is a 1/2 inch wide by 2 3/4 inches tall. And I cut this with my cut file that I designed. In the original Split Coast Stamper video, they used a label punch called Classic Label, and I believe it's still sold today in the Stampin' Up! Catalog, so you could look that up, or you might have it in your collection. If you don't, you could use a different slot style punch, or you could cut it out even with an X-Acto knife if you wanted to. The main thing that I would say, if you're going to use something different than my cut file or the dimensions I used, just be sure that your buckle piece will fit in there, and it's easy enough just to adjust the height of your buckle or the belt pieces to anything that you want and that will fit into your buckle hole. So hopefully that makes sense. And now as we go on, I will show you all the pieces that I used to put this together as I'm putting it together. Alright, the other piece for the base of the card is this belt. And this piece is 7 inches wide by 2.5 inches tall, and it's scored at the 2.5 inch mark. Alright? Then on top of this goes a mat, and it is 4 7/8 long by 2 1/4 inches tall, and it's scored at the 1/2 inch mark. Alright? And the way that this fits together is that this will go on top of that, right across the score line there. And then this is going to go underneath the mat that's going on the back of our base card. So let's move the base card out of the way for the moment and apply the mat to the top of the base piece. I'm going to use my tweezers just to get underneath the lining of the adhesive just that top piece I'm going to take off at this point. And I'm going to lay that out approximately in the center, just eyeballing that, and press down. Then I'm going to take glue. In this case it is art glitter glue, and I'm going to glue that down so that we do have a mat. Now you'll notice that this paper is two-sided. I've got this pretty pink butterfly paper here, and on the back side is this purple paper. So I'm using actually less than one full 12 by 12 size paper cardstock to as my pattern paper in this case. This is the paper pad that pattern comes from. It's birds and butterflies. It's in die cuts with a view stack. This is not something you can get at CutCardStock, but you can get the material that I used for the base card. And this is a metallic cardstock, and it's called Cryogen White, and it's really pretty. It's just got some metallic type finish to it, but it's not overwhelming, so it's very pretty that way. Okay, so then the next thing we're going to show is the back of the card base. So we've got a top mat here at 4.5 inches by 6.5, and the bottom mat at 4 3/4 and 6 by 3/4. Now this bottom purple mat is gorgeous. If you're looking for this on their website, it's called Curious Metallic Violet, and they have a ton of different colors in this finish, this same kind of metallic finish. Alright, so we're going to put the mat down on the top mat, but before I do that I want to attach my belt to it. So what I'm going to do is mark where my belt goes in my belt buckle so that I know where to put this when I glue it down. So I'm just going to take my two pieces here, kind of gently put them together approximately how they'll be, place them inside here even though they're not glued in yet, and then hold on to that while I align this up. I want it to be, close to the center. And this is where a paper with a horizontal line kind of comes in handy, because you can judge how straight it is from that also. I'm just going to put a light mark, but not so light I can't see it. And so then when I put it on when I put the belt on here, I'll have a guide to go with. Okay, so I'm not going to attach this to this yet. I'm going to put on my belt first. So given that, I have to take this adhesive off next. And I chose to use score tape from Score Buddy here because this is going to get a lot of pulling, and I want to make sure that a strong adhesive is in place for it. So we're going to put it like this, and I'm going to line up my pencil mark, looking all the way down my piece so that it's centered. Then I can press it all down, and now my buckle is attached. Now I can attach this. So I'm going to take off this adhesive, because again right here is where you're going to get the biggest pulling pressures, so I want that very strongly attached. And then I'll apply art glitter glue to the rest of this. And art glitter glue is a nice strong glue, there's no doubt. And normally it's plenty strong for what I want to do. But generally when I'm doing some kind of card construction or 3D construction that is going to get some pulling or something like that, I want to make sure that I've got really strong score tape on there. Now you can get the score tape, by the way, at CutCardStock. That is one of the supplies that they do offer. Alright, now I'm ready to put it in my card base. So everything from this point on is really quite simple. It's really just the buckle piece and putting that in the right location that is kind of the trickiest, in my view anyway. And that's easy to figure out if you just, put your line in like I did. And that line can easily be erased when I'm done. Okay, so that's in. Now you can see how that buckle works. Alright, so I'm going to take this and put it aside for a minute. And I'm going to bring in my top and front mat. So this back mat is this pretty purple again, or the violet curious metallic, and it has my hole punched in it, and this size is 3 1/4 by 6 3/4. Then the front mat is 3 inches wide by 6 1/2 inches long. And you'll just want to make sure that you have cut your pieces and punched your holes so that they line up like this. Now again, in my electronic cut file, all that work is done for you. You just have to cut it. And that's a great reason why I like to convert my hand patterns into a computer pattern or a cutting file pattern, because not only does it make things like that less complicated to achieve, but you can pull it out anytime you want, months or even years later, and you can cut that very same card base and not have to think very hard about it. And that's a nice plus. So I'm just going to put that on top like so, making sure that hole lines up and that the sides line up. And if you get any seepage like I did just here, you can wipe that off with your fingers. And glitter glue will dry clear, so any seepage you get should just disappear as it dries. Alright, I've applied glue now to the back of this matted piece. I'm going to open this up and place this on top of my card base. Doing the same thing, watching for my hole matching up and that the sides match up and everything looks pretty straight. Now when you close it, you can see how the buckle piece is going to work and how it looks in our card. So there's just a little bit more to do before we embellish this. And I have got a piece that I punched. I'm going to want a 7-inch long by 1-inch border piece. Now this is totally optional, but what I'm going to do is glue this on the edge, and then I'm going to trim my pieces off. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'll come back when I'm done. Okay, I'm back, and you can see that I glued this to match the edge here of my keyhole just to give it a little more finished look. And you can see how pretty that is on the other side. Again, that border is optional, but I do think it adds a lot of elegance to the card base. And you can use any border you choose that would fit with your theme, of course. So that's what's nice too. Alright, well now we're ready to decorate it. And I showed you these two pieces earlier. These are my cute little spring animals from a Newton's Nook stamp set. Here is the set. I bought this last year but hadn't really used it, and it's called Woodland Spring. I checked the website and they still have it available, and it is so cute. So if you're looking for something with spring animals, this might be the ticket for you. Alright, so what I did was I stamped on the metallic paper, the Curious Metallic Cryogen White. That is the same cardstock as this card base. And it gives a nice little finish to your Copic markers or any marker that you're using. It has a little bit of a sheen, but not a lot, just gives it a little tiny bit of glitz. And for this particular card, I thought that was a really nice touch, and the inks blend fabulously on it. I also have a sentiment from that same stamp set, A Sweet Spring Hello, that I'm going to put on there. And then I also cut 3 pieces. These are fancy die cuts, and they come from a set from Spellbinders, an old set that I have. It's called Adorning Accents. There's actually 4 pieces. I cut 3 of them. So let's put this together. I'm going to first start by putting some glue on my sentiment. Now the flower image here is not in the file that I made. However, it did come from an EK Success punch, and I use it every once in a while, and it's great for this kind of thing where you cut a circle and then put that on top. So it works great. Now I've put some 2-sided tape on the back of this. Alright, so that's my cute little sentiment. So easy. Now I'm going to apply my fancy die cut, the first one. Now when I cut this, I put an adhesive backing on it so I could just peel it off like that and place it. Another trick I like to use to speed things up a little bit. And I'm going to more or less center this as best that I can and put it at a diagonal so it's more like a diamond. Then I'm going to put my cute little fox on this. Now this adhesive is a little different. This is also foam tape. It's good and thick also, but it is not from the Dollar Tree. This is a specialty adhesive from DeReese. I'll put a link to that in my post as well. This is something you can get from CutCardStock. It's really great for these kind of images where you don't have a lot of room to work in, and also it's really good for shaker card construction, and that it can form your well for your shaker bits. And so I'm going to put him up a little bit like so. Next comes this piece. And I'm just going to put it kind of like so. And then this piece I'm going to put on the inside. And so that gives you just a really nice pretty look inside as well. And now when we close this card up, you can see how pretty it is. So there you go. There's my project for you for CutCardStock. I hope you'll go visit their website and see all the products they have available. Just a reminder again to follow my blog link to get complete instructions on the sizes and also to get access to my cut files. Thank you for visiting with me today. I hope you enjoyed this project. If you did, please consider subscribing if you haven't already, and here are some other videos I think you might like. Until next time, keep crafting, my friends.